What was October for you like?
October, I was 11,000 in payout.
Amazing.
And I've just qualified for two payouts now of 2,500 each just today. If I get two trades, that'll be 11,500, total 16,500. And then if I keep doing that and get another four trades, that'll be an extra 14. With my win rate, I should get $30,000 in November. So
Let's go. Iain, welcome. Good to have you here. Been looking forward to this case study with you. I've been working with you. I've been seeing your progress. I've been seeing your wins. And so wanted to share some of those wins with the audience, with the group here. Want to learn more about your journey and, share some of those gold nuggets that you've been sharing with me that I think can really help them. So why don't we start with what you've been able to accomplish?
I think what I'm most proud of is my ability to, when I get knocked down, to get back up and to take a trade. It's hard to separate the emotion from trading one account to trading what I've got now is 22 accounts. I've got 20 PAs and 6 of them are 300,000 accounts. When it works, it's fine. And you say, that's wonderful. But when it doesn't work, it just hits you. And it's very well to say, let's just have all of these accounts. And they're hard to get to. And once you've got them, then when you start trading them, you've got to get to another comfort level of saying, you know what, I've got my loss factor of $700 is what I put in there. Max drawdown is 3,500. So I allow myself 5 trades, which is 700. You go up, you get down, you got to manage your emotions. I get excited when I do make money, but I say to myself, I will get excited when I have such a really nice buffer on all of my PAs and it just keeps on harvesting the cash, because you got to let the cash come up, then you take some cash off, and then you let it come again, and then you take some cash off, and then you got to build those buffers up. And I think that Apex is wonderful at their rules are there for a reason. But if you can manage them and if you can train yourself to all of those aspects of it, of which there is multiple, I think you become a good trader. Now, whether you ever get used to those emotions when you put on a trade, I'm not sure. I'm beginning to get better at it, but no one likes losing.
Absolutely.
And I think you've got to really train yourself to be able to lose. And at the end of the day, as I say, I write down my routine, and every day I check my win rate. My win rate today is 71.64. And I remind myself that, today's going to be a good day and I'll be able to trade, take trades. I took 9 trades the other day and actually one of them failed, which is not bad.
8 out of 9.
Yeah, and I took 5 trades yesterday and one failed, but one was a bit of a goofy trade. I thought, well, I'll just try this small amount.
And I think you're at the point where you've made significant progress. You talked about building the accounts, building the buffer, and then starting to take money off the top. I mean, you're at the point where you're making money with this. So what was October for you like? And you just shared another win right before we started this call. So
October, I was 11,000 in payouts, seven payouts to make
11,000
in cash.
Amazing.
And really, so many people question Apex, but let me tell you, as soon as they reward you that and they give you a certificate, if it was on today, the 11th, that money will be in your bank account on the 18th or the 17th. And so all the naysayers and the people you see on YouTube, they don't know what they're talking about. Apex is phenomenal, I think.
Yes.
And they pay and they actually tell you when they've transferred it, which takes 4 days. And you can, I stick it on my bank account. I actually go, you know what, I'm putting money in. And so, October was 11, and I've just qualified for 2 payouts now of 2,500 each just today. And then I've got another by the 19th of November. If I get two trades, that'll be, it's starting to build now. That'll be 11,500, total 16,500 by the 19th. And then if I keep doing that and get another 4 trades, that'll be an extra 14. So if I plan it right and I keep going with my win rate, I should maybe get $30,000 in November. So
let's go. No, I can absolutely see it. 11,000 we're talking about is like 10, 11K for October. And at this pace, I do believe you're going to be hitting 20K months anytime now, probably this month, if not 30. And the beauty is once you get to a threshold where you're getting the payouts, you have the buffer, you just payout after payout after payout. And I agree, profits are great if you follow the rules, if you have a strategy that aligns with that and you have the discipline to do what you're supposed to do. What I found that people that complain is because they're not following the rules. They're a great opportunity to make money there. So So you're hitting 11K, potentially 20, 30K in the next few months. It's definitely going to happen. But I know you didn't start there. And so let's rewind a little bit to the beginning, because I know we've been working now at 5 months,
Yeah.
getting close to 6. So where were you prior to this relationship starting? What were you doing before joining the program?
I'm sort of retired. I basically have built a business up, and they pay me to stay away, which is nice. So I looked at all of these bots that were coming out, and I thought, well, there must be something in this. So I subscribed to an expensive bot, and I put some money on an account, and it started making really, really good money. I made actually $100,000, and I thought, wow, this is easy, you know. And you put more money in, and then I realized that I was traveling, and it was a currency bot. So we traded 24 different currencies. And I realized that the Japanese US dollar rate, it was just a complete scam, because what it was doing is people were investing in the Japanese currency, and I don't get bogged down in it, but and all they were doing was just floating the interest rate and
Mhm.
making money on it, of course. And the Japanese interest rates never changed, and all of a sudden it changed. And it completely wiped out all the profits. People lost
Mhm.
millions of dollars on this one move. Fortunately, I got out. I saw it. I sold. I had to take a $50,000 hit, and I thought that is not good. There must be
Mhm.
another way. So then I found another so-called guru, and he said, "No, I got the best thing." I paid him some money, and he taught me about the books, and he was good, but he just had one setup, and his setup was using fair value gaps and making very large, Fibonacci extensions on where the market should go and setting your profit level. And I did that for a while, and I thought, this is no good, because all of a sudden you get a large drawdown. It's not going to work on the prop firms. And
Yeah,
I
it's not
really
aligned.
liked the prop firm. Then I started talking to you, and you made sense to me, and you weren't all
Mhm.
flashy. And I saw what we were doing. It was prop firm compliant. And I thought, well, that's a good
Mhm.
thing. And you basically had a system where there's no indicators. There's no magic. You have an ATM which automatically triggers when the market moves in a certain direction, which I tried those, and they work for a while. Then the market changes, and then you lose. And so I thought, well, there's only way I'm going to master this is if I'm in control of my own trading. And people say to you, well, manual trading is really, really difficult. And yeah, manual trading is very, very difficult. But if you have a setup, if you have a structure, if you have pattern recognition, and if you apply the principles of price action, and you master those, and you look at them and you watch them, and it works. And so I had faith in what you were offering, and I thought, you know what, this guy seems like, I can't believe that everything that he's doing is just making out of his head, or he's just creating this as some sort of ridiculous front just to get money out of people. And so I thought, well, I'm going to give this a go, and I'm going to be all in. And so I worked really, really hard at it. And it was interesting when I first got the course, I looked at that continuation setup, and I thought, wow, that makes a whole lot of sense. And I really like
Mhm.
continuation. That was the first trade I really saw, because it's in the first program. But actually, I make good money on continuations, and especially with the stack now. So I've really mastered that, and it works. And but that's what's really given me the confidence to say I'm now mastering, even after 5 months. It'll be 6 months on the 19th. It's not a bad gig, is it? When you compare it to, people who spend, as I have done, on my kids' education. I mean, this is a far better return on investment.
Absolutely. Because I remember prior to you joining, we had a couple of conversations, and I understood that you had gone through the bots. You spent quite a bit of money already. And
Yeah.
so there's always an air of skepticism, which I understand. I know what's out there. But one thing that I've been seeing from you is you went all in. You weren't like, I'm going to go 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You're like, I'm going to give this a fair shot. A fair shot, meaning I'm going to do everything I can to try to make this work. And so, what were some of the challenges that perhaps you had to face? Because manual trading is very different than algo trading, right? Because you have to find a trade, you have to place a trade. What was it like?
Well, I mean, I realize that all of these algorithms and all this automated trading, it works until it doesn't. And so you're wasting your
Mm,
time and money, because at some point you're going to get taken out. There'll be a black swan event. And the more you
mm,
win, the more you put in, and then all of a sudden it will be taken out, and that'll be it.
yes.
So I think really, and I wrote some notes, what was hard for me was the fear of not being successful and repeat the same mistake and just waste a lot of time and money. I think that was my biggest fear. And then I guess trusting the process and believing that I could do it. I think that really spending a lot of time on the sim and just really mastering those setups. No one spends all the time on the sim because they want to get an eval and they want to get stuck
Hmm.
in and they want to make money immediately. But you know, you're just going to get more pain, but you've got to go through it. It's like losing weight. You've just
Hmm.
say, I'm not going to eat, I'm not going to drink, I'm going to eat air and exercise, and I'm going to give it a go, which is what I did. And I got myself onto a routine. I think that book, Atomic Habits, was a good thing. And I set myself up on a routine. I said, I'm going to do this and I'm going to commit to it. And as you say, I jumped in. You know, there were times when I wrote to you and I said, you know, I'm really trying. And I'm really, really trying. And I was in the valley of disappointment because you're expecting, you know, time and progress to be linear. It's a fact of life. It is not. You start off going really, really well. And then I thought, well, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. And then I got hit and I got hit bad. And I was kind of like shaking my head. And I said, Helbert, I'm really trying. I want you to know I'm really, really trying. And
Absolutely.
I'm miserable right now. This is not fun. Then I started to say, you know what, Ian, I'm in. So I've come this far. I'm just going to keep going and I'm going to gut it
Hmm.
out and I'm going to get it done. And then slowly it started to see it. And then I started to, you know, swim up and swim up and swim up and I got better. I think there's three levels. You look at indicators and you just trade the indicators. Everyone trades the indicators.
Hmm.
Work for a while. And then they
Yeah.
don't work. And then you go, oh, well, hang on with it. Well, now I'm going to do confluence. And you get the indicators and the confluence, and you start doing that. And then you start to improve on your trades.
Hmm.
And you start looking at the big picture, saying, hang on, wait a minute. Here is a head and shoulders. This is coming in. This is a really nice level. The market's moving up. Trend is your friend. Let's just think in those terms and then start taking quality trades. So once you get all
Hmm.
of that, then you get the better confidence. I'm not there yet by any stretch. I've still got, but I'm thinking, what am I going to be like in 6 months' time?
I agree. And he was referring to the value disappointment because it happens to everybody, by the way. And I think sometimes the hardest part is misalignment of expectations, right? But
Right.
the way I look at it is this is just like any other skill. And I'm sure, I mean, you're a business owner. I'm sure having a successful business for so long, it wasn't a linear development or progress. Like there was ups and downs. And in the beginning is the hardest part. To learn new skill is really hard. And just because somebody has watched the videos doesn't mean they're professional traders. And so what happens for a lot of people, for most of us, including myself, is you start picking it up very, very easy. And then things shift and then you're on the way down. And that's where the frustration hits. This is where most people throw in the towel. They're like, I'm just not cut out to be a trader, or I don't know if this is for me. And it's normal, it's frustrating, but you had a good ability to keep going. And we were just discussing this earlier. From what I see, the people that really win is having the ability to say, I can get better. I
Yeah.
will continue working at this. I will analyze my mistakes. I will take the feedback, build on that feedback. And 6 months later, you're doing it.
Yeah.
And so it's just understanding there's a process, right? What were perhaps some of the shifts that you have to make for you to make that transition out of the valley of despair where you feel like things are just not really moving forward? You're like, man, is this actually going to work? To now you're in a flow. It's like every
Yeah.
time we talk, it's like another payout here, another payout. And I'm looking at your trades. Beautiful. Like, what do you think has shifted in you? How do you see things a little bit different now?
I just studied the charts a lot and I began to look at pattern recognition. And I mean, I've gone through every single one of your classes maybe two or three times. I've also
Mm.
gone through every single live trade since you started. In,
Wow.
you know,
Really?
I went through them and I could see the progression of even the traders there. And the quality of the trading now is way better than it was in 2023. I
Oh
was
yeah.
and
100%.
I went through those. And then what I like to do is I like to go back and do a playback and then trade it. And I'll speed it up a little bit. And speeding it up actually is great because it allows you got to move your cursor around and learning how to do
Mm.
that and setting the trade. Because sometimes I'm sure a lot of the people they see you saying, well, I'm not going to go for the trend line, I'm going to go for the short. And all of a sudden you do it and then you stack it, you've done it. And I'm sure there's people in there, they're trying to get it all done, and then they miss the trade. They go, oh my God, I can't do this because you've got to be adept at moving the mouse, setting up the trade, putting the ATM in there. And that is a ninja trader function of you being able to work around that. And I think doing those trades, when you put it at like 3 times in the morning and then it gets slower, do 3 times, 5 times X, and then you've really got to move those trades quickly and then you see it. And then, I think that gives you adroitness. It gives you your ability to move the cursor and to set the trade up and say, no, I'm going to go short. No, I'm going to go long. Now I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to set my fib up. Oh, the fib looks good, and put it in. So that just allows you to practice, your ability to make sure that you've got your replicanter all set up. And believe you me, I've made all those mistakes where I've set the ATM wrong and all of a sudden it's gone through, crashed it, and I've spent a lot of money because I set my ATM wrong and it went through. Oh my God, wrong. That's why I put a little sign on there, check ATM, and I have my clock and I have my certain setups to prevent me from doing that. So all of those things, they come in, you've got to go through them and you've got to practice them. And it's not just the trading, it's all those other little things that help you to be skillful on the chart itself, which I think is a skill that you've got to learn and practice.
So, absolutely. And the only way to actually learn it is doing it. It's muscle memory. And sometimes, yeah, like when I'm in the live, so like I'm not even thinking about it, right? And that's the goal, is to get to the point where you're not even thinking about it. You can actually focus on just being present with the charts, what the price is doing. And so it sounds like for you, you took it on your hands to review every live session. You've watched the course multiple times. You've used the playback to master those skills. And so you mentioned something interesting. You have your routine. And I know you sent me a picture before. And I love that, because we discussed how important routine is, to have some structure, to have that consistency in our lives, which gets then reflected to the charts as well. We're all one and the same, right? Why don't you share a little bit more about that? What does your routine look like in the mornings for when it comes to trading?
It's very interesting, because with the book Atomic Habits, what it really basically said is just do something small and then build on it. Because if you try and run a marathon every day to lose weight, you might do one and then it's just going to be too much. I mean, like this morning was an example. I didn't really feel like getting up, and I thought, maybe I'll just have a little lie in today. I said, no. I have the one side and this side saying, no, you got to go. And so, my routine, I get up in the morning at like 4:45, and I don't do anything. I don't look at phones, nothing. I just get downstairs and I get on my elliptical and I exercise for 45 minutes. And then I get off that and I use my watch and I do 35 push-ups. I do 80 sit-ups and 35 push-ups. Then I go weigh myself to make sure I'm not putting on, I've had a strong weekend or anything. And then I have breakfast and shower and dress. And then I do my tea, and I have tea in the morning and my chores, say hello to the wife. And then I look at pre-market analysis at 8:30. And then at 8:45, I meditate. I've got a very easy meditation. It's just 20 minutes. I use the same one. I'm not going to mess around. And all it does is it trains you, which is impossible to do, for 20 minutes, just to think about your breathing. And of course, you're thinking about everything else. And to breathe, 1 in, 2 out.
Yes.
What that does, it trains you to look at the screen. It trains you also to stay by the rules. So every time you think you're not going to go out of the rule, you go, no, just breathe in and breathe out. That's what meditation does. So you try that. And then I start the trading session at 9:25, and I try to do 4 trades a day is what I say to myself. Now, if it's on PAs, now I might do 1 and then I'm happy, and then I'll trade my EVs, but I haven't got any EVs left. So I bought some more. So I'll just trade some EVs.
Nice. To practice.
Just to practice, because I got my PAs are really moving up. And so, but my EVs keep getting qualified. So that's a good thing, I suppose. And I'm really interested. And then I stop for lunch. I continue if the market is valid, and then then I stop and I post my trades and I write my journal, and then and I have dinner, and then and sometimes I don't trade. Like yesterday, I didn't trade. Watch the market, because I said to myself, you know what, I'm not going to trade. I traded on my EVs. I didn't trade on my PAs. And I just thought, I'm just going to just settle myself, because I've got these PAs and you can mess them up. And I use my skills to give myself good experience on the EVs. And then when I see my win rate is so good on the EVs, I said, you've got this. And I had some lovely trades yesterday with I took one on the PAs with the double top, and I just thought, this just looks so good. And I had my PAs, it hit it and it dropped, and I thought, that was a trade. I had all the confidence. I basically said, and I saw it stretch its way out. I make sure that all my PAs were filled, got filled, and dropped like a stone.
How good does that feel? When you can anticipate the movement, you're like, I'm very confident it's gonna go here. Very high likelihood that it's actually gonna come down from here, and the market does exactly what you thought it would do. How good does that feel?
Well, that was yesterday, and that was and it was perfect because I knew it.
Yes,
It is good that way, and you can see that. And I think the other ability is to wait for those trades because they do come and you see them.
it works beautifully. I wanted to point out how simple the routine is, but I assure you that's made a big impact. But like the thing with simple things like this is the consistency, because that's where the big part that people miss. It's like anyone can work out once, anyone
Yeah.
can meditate once, anyone can have their checklist, but like actually do it every day. That's what really
Well,
compounds,
I mean,
makes a big
if you
impact.
want to see, I mean, so what I do is I print out all my ones in the future, which are here. These are all of the ones that I've been doing since day one, and you can see all of my checklists and all my notes. And those are all the every single day, and a great day. And then this one was, a great trading day, one win. I'd write some notes when I didn't have a good day, and it's funny because I had a lot more notes before. A good day today. I feel good about my trading. Need to refocus and narrow my bracket on the price action. I need to focus more. I'll get there. I
Mhm.
promise. That's what I
I
read to
love it.
myself. And tough morning, and I stopped out by one tick. This is not for the faint of heart. You can do this. It is the hardest thing I have done. Come on. Helbert makes the trades work. The money is affecting my trading. I'm not focused enough. Did another one now, and I am back. So, I mean, these are
Mhm.
real, examples of the notes that I wrote. Green Day, 2 wins on PAs, and they were big wins. Have a plan on how many trades you take. That was Wednesday, the 5th. This is kind of my diary, which has become my routine. And I print it out. And I like to print it out so that I put it on my desk the next day so that I'm ready to go. And I tick everything. Like today, I tick as the day goes on. If I didn't exercise that day, I would put an X against that. And that motivates me to keep exercising and keep doing the routine, because at the end of the day,
Mhm.
it is nice to make the money, but it is also nice to have the ability to say you've accomplished it. You make some money, and it gives you freedom. And and I'm at the point now where I kind of really, it keeps my mind very, very active. I like it. And it's tough. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's tough, which
It's
everyone will
simple,
agree with.
not easy.
Simple
Well,
and
it can be very complicated, but I think we keep it very simple. But yeah, it's like anything. And I think ultimately it's just repetition. And like what we talk about is just pattern recognition. It's actually spending the time studying, looking at the patterns over and over and over and over until you see them before they happen. And it's all about mastery at the end of the day. Because I think it's very easy to get caught with shiny object, right? When you're in that valley of despair, we can jump into other things. Sometimes it could be a strategy. Yes, you might need something else, but at the same time, it's just continuing to actually develop the skill and give it enough time. I think ultimately the most important thing is for you to feel like you're on the right track. Like you can see that this can potentially work, and then you stick in with it. And by the way, I love all the structure that you have. I think I'm very much the same way. So I think it's helpful. What would you say to yourself looking back? Let's say you're about to get started with this, you're about to trade manually, about to join the program. Now that you're actually making money, what would you say to yourself back then?
I think having personal integrity is really important. Be honest with yourself. I wish I'd started this earlier, obviously, and I love the process. I think if you're going to do something, you say you're going to do it, and you just have to do it. So put the time in to study, do the course material. I think trading is fun, and we all want to trade. We all want to click that mouse, but you got to do this study, learn the playback, because that's important, because that allows you to move around that screen. It allows you to set limits. It allows you to, I mean, I have all my shortcuts. I print them out. Now I don't even need to look at them because I know how to do it. I don't even think. So print out
Mm-hmm.
shortcuts. I've got Control R, rectangle, Control F, and so on and so forth. So what would I say? I would say, do the homework, build a foundation. And now you're not going to do that because you're going to want to trade. You want to make money. You say, this is easy. I don't need to learn all this stuff. I'll just copy Helbert's trades and it'll be fine. But it doesn't work that way, because you can copy Helbert's trades and then maybe Helbert's trade didn't work that day. And then you go, oh, no, no,
Mm-hmm.
Helbert's trades are not working. And then you say, I'm not going to do what Helbert does. This looks much better. I'm going to do this. And then you fail. And then you say, oh, this doesn't work. That's
Mm-hmm.
because you don't have the foundation. You've got to do the foundation. And then when you're seeing what Helbert does, you say, you know what? I get that. I mean, I actually like continuation longs. You don't take them. I took one yesterday. It was a perfect
Yes.
trade. It was an absolutely
Yep.
gorgeous trade. It couldn't be any better. You didn't take it. And so I've learned to say, well, listen, I love Helbert and what he does, but his style of trading, he has a certain style of trading, and learn your own style of trading. And the only way you're going to do that is by doing the foundation work. And just because
Absolutely.
Helbert doesn't do that, there's nothing wrong. He makes the money doing that. You might say, well, I'm just going to do what Helbert does. At the end of the day, you've got to fly on your own. That's what's going to give you the strength to get through all of this. Because if
Hmm.
you're always relying on somebody, and then when it doesn't work, then it's easy to blame somebody, right? Oh, well, Helbert, it doesn't work. Whereas if you do it yourself, you then basically say, you blame yourself. And
Yep.
see in my notes, you say, well, Iain, you got to do more work at it. And then you start to see other people at levels they're at. And you say, well, I was there actually. And I see some of the trades that people share and they go, oh, look, this was a great trade. I think, wow, he's going to find out that trade later on is not going to be a good one. 3 days and I'm just crushing it, and they go, okay, that's fine. And you've seen it, of course. And they go super,
Yeah.
super fine. Then all of a sudden it stops working. And then they're really confused and they get very, very frustrated. And so to go back to the answer the question specifically, do the homework, learn the basics. Because what are you teaching? You're just
Hmm.
teaching pattern recognition, look at the market, price action, market looks bullish, it's going to be going up, it's going to have pullbacks. Even when it has pullbacks, yeah, you can go short in a long market, not a problem. But at some point, it's going to whipsaw and take you out. And then understand why that trade didn't work, even though it met all of the criteria of high, low, lower, high, and the trend line and the mid band and so on and so forth. And then you get to get a feel of it. And then why wouldn't you want to be an independent person trading yourself? Why wouldn't you?
It's the only way to have the confidence, really. I think integrity is important. I think that's really how you build confidence. And really, what that means is that you trust yourself to do
Yes.
the right thing. And for me, confidence is everything because that's the only way you're going to say, let's go and buy 20 accounts, let's trade, let's put the money, let's invest the money here. You're not going to do it if you don't trust yourself because you're out of integrity. I think the live sessions are great. I think people emulating is great. But ultimately, like you said, the goal is for you to have the skills. The
Yes.
goal is for you to look at the market and understand why this is a good decision, why you should be taking that trade. And who knows, maybe I'm not here one day. And then what are you going to do if you
Yeah.
can only copy me? The goal is
Yeah.
for you to, sure, I love that you guys will trade with me, but for you to make your own decisions. And like Ian was saying, there might be trades that I take. He's like, I'm not going to take that. Or
No.
there might be trades that you absolutely love 10 out of 10 and I don't take. Not my
Yeah.
style. And ultimately, we're all a little bit different. I think the best trading happens when you are in alignment with how you see things. It could be the same strategy, same framework, but we'll use it a little bit different. And that's where the money is. Looking back, now you're 6 months in, we're still continuing to work together. I see you hitting those 20, 30, 50K months. I wouldn't be surprised if you're one of the first ones to be my 6 figure per month case study. So I'm sure that's coming. Just give it time. What would you say to someone who's watching this right now? Maybe if you talk to me, kind of like what we did before you joined the program. Maybe they've spent quite a bit of money on algos and programs and courses and just hasn't worked out for them. What would you say to them in that position?
I would say to them, what is your mission? You got to define what your mission is. Now, you might say, well, my mission is to make money and to make a career out of this, or make
Mm-hmm.
$10,000 a month. My mission was, I'm not going to do this if I'm making $500 a month. I can sit
Yeah.
at home and do nothing. It's got to be a minimum of $10,000 a month for me to make it worth my while. So is that your mission? And if you say yes, well, then treat it seriously and work at it and ask yourself, am I going to put all the effort into it? Am I doing the best that I can? And you might say, well, I've got a job and I can't put 8 hours a day in there. Well, then you're going to put 2 hours a day and it's going to take you longer. But put it 2 hours a day and time it and say, when am I going to do that? And yeah, you might have wife and kids. You might not have the money and you might have to work and like what you had to do, but you've got to then dedicate the amount of time. Or if you can't do it, you can't do it. So don't waste your time. Go
Mm-hmm.
work somewhere else and do something. But if you just say, I am going to become a day trader and I'm going to learn what this guy is telling me sitting in an apartment in Miami, and he's going to show me what it is I need to do, and I'm going to master those setups and look at what that trading is, then that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do
Mm-hmm.
it. And as you say, how long is it going to take? I don't know, Might take 10 years. I hope it doesn't. It's not going to take 10 years. But
However long it takes.
however long it takes. I use that in as exaggeration to sort of say however long it takes. It's taken me 6 months to become comfortable. I'm still not comfortable. I wouldn't tell you, are you going to make $1 million a year? Well, you might. I'm going to give it a go because and
Yes.
I'd love to be able to sit here, and you say, well, I did do that. And everyone's going to think I've got some sort of magic ability. And no, it's hard work and it's having the confidence and it's being honest with yourself. I use that word integrity quite often. It's,
Yes.
it's not integrity with anybody else. Everyone thinks integrity means me being honest with other people. Actually, the only way you can be honest with other people is if you're honest with yourself.
Yes.
And you've got to do the work and you look in the mirror and say, I am going to do this. And as you say, it's not that hard. The hard thing is having the stamina to keep going and having the ability to say, I'm just going to keep learning and learning and learning and learning, and I'm going to figure it out. And I think with your mentorship, it actually accelerates the process. It can actually bring you to be making money within 6 months, I think, if you put the hours.
Yeah.
And then you can go from there. I mean, you can make $100,000 a year. I mean, and that's not some sort of Instagram ridiculous claim. I mean, you actually can. And I think I'm going to try and do that. And that's my sort of goal. It was 10.
Absolutely.
Not getting greedier. Just that I want
No, he's got to have more serious to that.
be able to do that. And I've looked at all the different prop firms and I thought, well, I'm going to get my skills going. But I think once you've got a good 20, 30K a month, and then you can go and say, you know what, I'm going to add maybe 15 prop firms a month and build it up to like, there's actually 88 prop firms that I could probably use. And why wouldn't you do that if your win rate is there and you make $400 on each one of those?
The math is there, and it's so interesting because I do believe once you hit 10K per month, you realize, oh, I could keep going. Like there's no reason to stop there because it's the exact same process. And I can tell you, never in my life had I imagined making 100,000 in a month with trading. My goal starting out is I wanted to make $1,000 in a day. I was like, if I can do that, I'm gonna be set. And then next thing you know, you blow through that and you're at 40K per month. You're like, oh my God, what is this? And then next thing you know, you're at 80K and 100. But we're not doing anything different. No. I'm doing exactly what you're doing. I've just been doing it a little bit longer and I've just kept going. There's going to be the setbacks, right? You might lose some accounts. It's going to happen. Everybody has drawdowns. But what you said was the key to everything. We're not doing anything crazy here. I'm not some hedge fund manager with a very complicated strategy that involves math. Just a normal guy. We just do the basics really, really well. And we continue to master them. And when we get knocked down, we keep going and we keep going and we keep going. And next thing you know, it's happening. I think to me, that's the key to everything. And what I noticed from the people that really do well with this, sure, they have their moments of frustration, they have their moments of doubts, but they have an ability to go back from that and look at it at a different light and say, you know what, I'm going to keep going. It's just saying, it's going to take however it's going to take. My big shifting moment for me when everything changed was the day I decided I was just not going to quit. I don't care if it takes me 20 years, I'm going to make it happen. Of course, it didn't take me that, but sometimes it's just timelines in our heads that really create this pressure that is completely unnecessary. I'm not saying don't have the intensity and the urgency, but the outcome is out of our control. The only thing we can control is the inputs. How much charts we look at, how much playback you do, how's your routine, are you meditating, are you resting, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? And you just do that for as long as it needs to happen.
I also think that I was saying to myself the other day, when you're taking a trade and it meets all the criteria, just because this trade failed, as you've said before, or you're wanting this trade to work, it looked like a fantastic trend line and it didn't work. And that upsets people because they think, well, I wanted it to work, it should have worked, but it didn't. Well, how is that possible? And then they focus on that.
That's the hardest part for people to really, really internalize is just like about probabilities. It could be that 10 out of 10 meets all the criteria and it can still fail. And that's okay. That's not within our control. And really our job is to make sure that we're meeting the criteria, manage risk, and pull the trigger. If you continue taking high quality trades, it is going to work. And I like to, when people talk about overtrading and revenge trading, the key is why we're doing the trade. Overtrading to me, taking 20 trades is not overtrading if you're taking the right decisions. Revenge trading is only revenge trading if we're just pissed off and taking trades that don't meet any criteria just for the sake of trading to try to get back. But if it's a high quality trade and the market's giving you exactly what you're wanting to see, I mean, it's our duty to take it, right? And if it's within the risk parameters, why not? Iain, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. I'm sure people are going to get a lot of value from this. And I am very, truly, really excited to see your progress. I think I can truly appreciate someone who's fully committed, all in, no excuses, doing whatever it takes. I think you're an example of that. I mean, there's no coincidence that you're winning. It's not by chance. Like, you're doing this. This is all you putting in the hours, putting in the effort, studying. Yeah, we're definitely going to do another one once you're your 50K month, 100K month is coming. When you're doing things right, time is your ally. You give this time, it's inevitable. It's just staying
I'll
there.
still keep practicing. I keep going back and I keep doing it. There's another book by Brian Tracy, No Excuses. That's also a good one.
Yes.
And
Yes, yes.
and it's true. And I mean, and you give it a go. And what have you got to lose? I mean, work at it. I know this sounds easier said than done, but try to enjoy the process. I mean, sometimes it is a bit hard. Listen, I've had some miserable days, okay, and I've thought, and I wrote down that this is not for the faint of heart. This is tough. It's
If
tough.
anyone could do it and just click two buttons and be a millionaire, it wouldn't be worth it.
Money wouldn't
It
be
wouldn't
worth
be worth it. Is the whole point is that nothing is guaranteed, and that's what makes it exciting. It is a challenge, and it keeps you on your toes every single day. And I think just even get it to the point you're making $10,000 a month,
Yeah.
that puts you in a whole different category. Because I mean, less than 10% of traders actually ever get to the point where they are confident in the process. Not many people can do that. And that's because not many people can get through that valley of disappointment. That's where people just throw the towel.
Well,
So
Robert, I'd like to thank you. You do a great job. I know a lot of people have admiration for you and they think you're some sort of wizard. And I think your wizardry is your patience and your ability to keep repeating the same things over and over and over and over again. But I think people actually appreciate the fact to be reminded over and over again, because we are in the game of repetition and to hone.
absolutely.
I don't know how I get frustrated if I was teaching people, because you just see the mistakes. It's psychology in many aspects to it. So you're a psychologist trying to get people to believe, to keep going and to keep doing it. And I really appreciate, I look forward to the evening to see what Helbert's going to tell me how I messed up. And what's interesting was beforehand, what I thought was a good trade, you would basically say, no, that's not a good trade. And then when I didn't think it was a good trade, you think, no, actually, that was a good trade. And that's where you're basically saying, yeah, Iain, those are good. Yep, those are good. Yep, those are good. Yep, those are good. And I think, and even though I still like to be pandered to, I still like to listen to what you have to say, because it just builds the confidence, and you need that.
Absolutely. And I think through the feedback, it's been amazing to see your progress and implementation of feedback, which is the most important thing. You listen to it and you apply it. And I mean, you're at the point where, now I look at your trades, it's like, this is beautiful. Great. Now let's keep going. Well, Iain, thank you so much again. We'll be back for another one, and looking forward to seeing you on the coaching call later today.
Yeah. All right. Yes, of course. At 4 o'clock. I look forward. All right. Thanks, Albert. Keep up the great work.